There's another thing that you call.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Friday Fireside Chat here. It is Friday morning, the 17th day of December. We're, coming up on Christmas here. We're going to be closing out this new year. And today, the topic that I have chosen is time management. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to keep it to 30 minutes here today because there's just, I know everybody's got a lot going on with this time of the year. And of course, remember that next week we will not be doing the Monday call or the Friday call, as Friday will be Christmas Eve, but next week, no calls. And our next call will be on Monday, the 27th. We'll be doing our opportunity Zoom on Monday, the 27th. And so just make a mental note of that. I'm going to let a few more people in here. Okay. And so again, the topic here today is time management. And, I think time management is very, very appropriate for this time of the year because we do have so much going on. There's so many people, so many things pulling on our time, additional things that we are, doing in preparation of the holidays, buying gifts, things of that nature. And so, it can create, a lot of extra strain and stress and such on us. So we're going to talk a little bit about, that time management. And so the first, thing that I want to say is, we're all given the same amount of time. I mean, essentially in every day, not essentially, I mean, every day we all have 24 hours. It's all in what we do with it. Robert Kiyosaki in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he talks about the difference between a rich man and a poor man is how they spend their time. Okay, so that's pretty profound statement when you think about that. The difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they spend their time. And so I think this is something that we really need to, ask ourselves is, how are we spending our time, right? Are we wasting our time? Or are we investing our time? Are we spending our time on productive activities? Are we, spending our time, or I guess would be a better word, wasting our time, right? And this can be a really, really scary thought because the other thing we find is people get overwhelmed. They think they've got so much to do that they just get overwhelmed. And so one of the tips I'll give you there is just write down everything that you need to do and make a list of everything you need to do and then prioritize it, right? And just that activity alone, writing down, organizing it in a priority list will relieve a tremendous amount of pressure off of you. And then, prioritize. And now what you want to do when you prioritize it then is you want to take and do the most important thing first. And then the rule is you want to complete that thing or do everything you can about it before you move on to the next thing. Because what we tend to do is we tend to do the easy things. We tend to do the fun things. We tend to do the simple things. And the things that really make us money, the things that really, help us grow our life and our business typically are not as fun and easy. And they're more difficult. So we tend to just push them off and we procrastinate and we just keep kicking the can down the road. So this concept of writing down everything you need to do, prioritizing it, doing the most important thing first, do it to completion or you've done everything you could in that particular point before you move on to the next thing. So even if you don't get everything done, at least you're getting the most important things done and you can have a real sense of accomplishment. Because what do we do when we get overwhelmed? we're paralyzed. When we're overwhelmed, we're paralyzed, we're not productive, and we tend to even waste more time and create more of a burden on ourselves. So, but this coming back to this statement, and I've already said it a few times, but I'm going to say it again. The difference between a rich man and a poor man is how they spend their time. And so, I mean, if you think about that just for a minute, I mean, I can think of myself when I, number one, multitasking, doing things that I can do other things at the very same time, you find yourself wasting time. I enjoy TikTok, and I can tell you, those little short 10, 15, 20-second videos are addicting. And I literally can go on there and burn up an hour or two without even realizing just one more. And all of a sudden, an hour and a half, 2 hours have gone by. And I mean, I might enjoy it. If I'm doing it strictly for enjoyment and I have the time to do it, great. I'm doing that. But if I've got other things that I'm neglecting, then that's costing me money and I'm wasting time. If I'm doing it for entertainment, if I'm doing it for stress relief, if I'm doing it because I don't have other more important things to do, okay, fine. And brings me to another point. And I was on a mastermind earlier this week with Eric Worre and a handful of other 6- and 7-figure earners. And he talked about the value of time. I mean, you think about the value of time. It's the only thing we can't get more of. We all have the same amount, and we don't know how much of it we have. We don't know when it's going to be when it's over, right? But it's the only thing we really have that once it's gone. We can never get it back, right? And so, how are you using it? How are you spending it? And he said, you need to put a value. You need to think about, what it is you want to, what you believe you can earn, and put a value on your hour, put a value on your, depending on how micromanaged you want to be, your minute, your 10 minutes, your 15 minutes, your 30 minutes, your hour time frame, or what your day is. And, in his case, he said his time is now worth $10,000 an hour. Eric Worre said this. He said his time is now worth $10,000 an hour. Okay. I look at my time, I'm depending on, the particular month, my time's $500, $1,000 an hour. Right. And so how am I spending that time? And if I'm doing things because and he used the example of mowing lawn, right? I mean, might take him an hour and a half. This is not today, but back when he was saying he was maybe worth, $200 an hour, $500 an hour, and he would mow his own lawn. And he said, maybe it'd take me 2 hours. I could pay somebody to do that for, $50, right? And so if I'm doing that myself and taking away from things that I really could be doing that only I can do, I'm wasting my time, right? And I'm costing me money. But when you think about this, I thought about it a little bit more when he was done, because if you're taking and paying someone to do your lawn because your time is too valuable, okay, if you're not doing anything with that time, now you're really not, now it's still costing you money. If you have the time to mow the lawn, and so let me clarify that. So let's say you're worth $100 an hour and you can pay someone $50 to mow your lawn, right? As long as you use your time while you're paying that person to do what they're doing, as long as you use your time productively, you're making money. But if you're paying him $50 an hour and you're sitting on the couch, okay, now it's costing you $50 because you're not investing the hour that you have. Does that make sense? Right. So, I think what's his name? John Maxwell talks about this, and he talks about time management. He does the same analogy. About what is your time worth. If you can pay someone to do that, you should be paying them to do it. Spend your time on what you can do and what's the most productive return on your time. Okay. I mean, think about if we really did this. if we really did this, we all waste time. We all, pay, do things that we could probably pay people to do for a lot less money, but we do it anyway, right? And so what he says, number one, you need to identify what is the best use of your time. What is the most value, most return you get for the time that you put in. He said, number two, he said, look at things that only you can do. Nobody else can do them. Only you can do them. You have to be involved. Those are good use of your time. Again, things that are a high return on your time, things that only you can do with your time. And then he said, the other thing is things that you enjoy. He said, so if you're mowing the lawn because it's something you really enjoy, you just get pride in it, making the pretty lines or whatever it is, then that's okay. It's a stress reliever. If you're really doing it because you truly enjoy it, it's something you really brings joy to you for doing it, then go ahead and do it. But he said, if you can pay someone else to do it, and you can put your time in those other productive activities, then you're better off doing that. But the same notion is, again, coming back to what I said as I thought about this, if you're not investing the time, you're paying somebody but not investing your time, and you're just sitting on the couch, now it's actually costing you money again. Okay, so I've had a little bit of a cold here too, so I apologize about that. But so that's kind of a little bit of a backdrop. The other thing that I think that is, it's probably a good exercise. It's really a good exercise to really do that personal checkup. I talk about this personal checkup all the time. How am I doing? How am I doing in investing my time? How am I doing with my prospecting? How am I doing with my follow-up? And, how am I doing? How am I doing? How am I doing? So how am I doing in my time management? Am I doing things that only I can do? Am I doing things that give great return? Or am I wasting my time? Okay. I think these are some very, very, important questions you could be asking yourself, because here we are, we're in the holidays, and, we're probably neglecting some things. We're probably stressing about some things that we need to do that we could maybe have someone else do, right? We're overwhelmed, right? So with that kind of as an opening or a backdrop, let me just pause there for a moment and see if anybody else would like to chime in here, especially since I'm struggling here a little bit with my voice, and my ears are plugged too. But if you could chime in, give me your thoughts, what you think, any tips that you might be doing, a good, maybe a good use of your time, maybe an example of, wasting time and being conscious. Because when you waste time, you beat yourself up, right? I mean, you do. When you waste time, you're kind of beating yourself up. When you really invest your time and you do something productive, you really have a sense of accomplishment, right? You have a sense of accomplishment that makes you feel good. But when you waste time, you might be enjoying the TikTok, but you're kind of in the back of your mind, you shouldn't be, spending 2 hours doing that. That's what I do anyway. So let's go ahead and open it up, see if somebody wants to chime in, jump in, and give us their thoughts.
I
Yes.
definitely want to chime in because this is like my favorite topic. I think this is the topic that one of the first topics that I heard you talk to me about, and I felt like you were talking to me because I was looking at my surroundings. I'm a rock painter and I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't work. I mean, I paint my rocks and I go hide them for the world to find. So my time, I feel like is valuable. I'm helping people in my smiles that way, but I'm not making any money off it. It's not a money-making activity. And so I want to make money. My husband's not home. I want to bring him home. He comes home this tomorrow, actually. So I'm really excited about that. So my time management has been thrown off because of that. But I really like this topic because it kind of put me in my place 8 months ago. And I realized that I was wasting a lot of my time, even though I thought I was helping other people. I wasn't really helping myself. So you got to remember, self-love comes first too. So making that list every day is really important, and doing the hard things. And even if that, like exercising, I don't like to exercise, but I know that my body needs it, and I do feel better after I do it. So I have my morning routines, but I also do that first thing in the morning, so it's done and it's over with. Just like my hour of work, I do that every single day. And as long as you get those done, then you have your whole whole day ahead of you. But those money making activities is what you want to focus on top of your self-love activities as well, because that's what's gonna make you feel better about yourself, and know that you can have time for yourself as well. There's, when like my husband hasn't been home in 5 months, I definitely want to, get the house ready and Christmas ready, and it's the holidays. So we definitely want to stay in touch with ourselves at the same time being in touch with our environment and our surroundings and what we're doing with our time, because it's valuable. And, don't give your passion to the wrong task of the day. And I do like to multitask, and I know all about TikTok. I'm just now starting to learn about it. I'm trying to start a new routine to build that in. You got to try new things sometimes, and then you find out that it's not really time consuming for you. TikTok is time consuming to sit and record a video and then to add all those little pictures to it. I'm learning by experiencing it that it's not really my thing. So I did a week of it. It was fun. And then I kind of told everybody I was going to take a little break. Christmas is coming. Jared's coming home this weekend. I'm not going to be able to do this twice a day, every single day, and create all these videos. So sometimes you do things and you realize that it takes too much time doing it. So you have to back up, and that's okay. And you just have to learn from experience and go from there. But time is definitely something that you need to look at and manage. And organization is key. You organize your life, you can organize your business life a lot easier.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for that, Robin. You said a couple things. Number one, you said exercise. And, when you think about, because we can all procrastinate, we can make excuses. I don't have time to do the exercise. And yes, it's taking time out. But if you do it consistent enough, because of the energy, because of the mental clarity, because of the focus, it probably gives you more time, right, in your day. It probably gives you more productive time. And I'm terribly guilty in this. I get overwhelmed and I don't do it. I go in spurts, and then when I'm not doing it, I beat myself up, and then I get not feeling well, and tired. And it's one of those things, moving into the new year, I'm going to do. Matter of fact, this is provided I get through this cold. Next week, Monday or Sunday, this coming Sunday, I'm going to a wellness retreat for a week to kind of jumpstart my, fitness and my health goals into the new year. I'm super excited about it. I'm going to be hiking every day, like 8 miles every day, and exercising and eating right, really, kind of to jump in. And so for me, that's a good investment of time, because I know how important, feeling good, my health being, and I've just been neglecting and putting it off. And it's such of a chore. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it again in January. And I'm moving into this new year, with making time, because the other thing you said is make time for yourself, right? Again, that's another important use of your time. If you neglect yourself, you get burned out, you get wore down, you get irritable, you get edgy, and all of a sudden now it's counterproductive, right? So taking time for yourself, but you got to be careful. Warning, right? You can't take too much time. Exercise is good, but not all day, right? Taking time for yourself, but not all day. Right. So we have to be smart about it. We have to and that's what I'm going to do. I'm moving into the new year and here I'm making this public statement, so I'm going to have to stick to it. And I'm telling you, it's going to be tough, right? Because I know me, and I know how I can get overwhelmed and get distracted and talk myself out of things. I mean, we can have such crazy discipline in some areas in our life, in other areas we just can't. We can make all kinds of reasons and excuses and rationalize it of why I can't do something, but you can if you schedule it and you commit to it. And so, I mean, that's what I'm moving into the new year. It's going to be a major focus in 2022 is going to be my time. It's going to be scheduling, giving myself some time, and exercise is going to be a part of that. And so, and then I think the other thing that I do want to mention too here is you can really try to do too many things. And if you try to do too many things, you don't do any of them well. I think, I don't know if it was you brought it up, Robin, or I think it must have been because you're the only one spoke so far, but the word focus. And I'm a huge fan of focus. You can't focus on too many. I mean, you can focus on too many things. You can only literally focus on a few things at once. Ideally one primary focus and then some other things. But if you really want to accomplish something, it takes focus. I mean, it takes focus that you can't let yourself get off track, get distracted with life, with all the other things and temptations that are out there around us. So I think that's important as well. Who else wants to chime in here on this topic of time management?
I'd like to offer a tip, John, if I may. Something I learned in the corporate world. Basically, I make a list. I keep a list. Each item as it comes up. You know, this is something I need to do. Think about it at the beginning of the day, and check it off once it's completed. And if I get to the bottom of the list and I've got things that didn't get done, I transfer them to the next day. But it's so easy to forget. You know, there's something I said I wanted to get done, and I meant to do that yesterday, but what was it? I don't remember. If you write it down and check it off as you go, much better chance of getting back to it and getting it done. And you can prioritize that way also. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Finish your day on paper before it starts, right? Finish your day on paper the night before it starts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great tip. And as you said, prioritize it. And like you said, when you do that, it frees you up, because when you try to hold everything in your head, then you're taking time away from concentration on something else, because you're sitting there trying to hold it in your head. So very good. Thank you. Who else?
Yeah, I'll jump in, John.
Yes.
You know, time management is what it's all about. That really is so important. But you know, once you're you look at yourself like you are a network marketer and just not in network marketing, and you become a network marketer, things will change. It's the same way when you're not just in Valentis, but Valentis is in you. Everything changes when Valentis is in you. You're not just in Valentis. You're not in network marketing. You're a network marketer. And you know, also you have to have enough people to talk to at all times. When there's more people to talk to, you know, then you have time. That's a good problem to have. In other words, you don't want to be in lead poverty consciousness. You want to be in lead prosperity consciousness. In other words, be always. Like last night, I do what's called after hours homework. I go into LinkedIn, you know, and I had this little paragraph that I said, you can do the default message to people to ask them to connect, or you can do the a personal one. And I got a personal one, and I just copy paste, put the first one and copy paste. I got two big networkers just connected with me, one's in Hawaii and one's somewhere else. And I just do that after hours. I mean, I already have 16,000 connections on LinkedIn already, but not that I really need any more. But I know there's a percentage of them don't have any phone numbers. But I just love what I do. I love to put the hook in the water and always go fishing. I mean, you're going to get some bites, but the time management thing is, I mean, I preach that to my team all the time. You know, I mean, if you work as hard as you would for yourself, as you did for your job or your boss, or even part of that, you'd be a rich person. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Chris. And, you know, if you're a network marketer, you know, that one of those things that you talked about was, you know, prospects. I mean, that's probably one of the best use of your time, is because if you don't have a full pipeline, you know, now I mean, you know, keeping that pipeline full and doing the proper follow-up and bringing those people through, you know, the system obviously is a major part of what you should be spending your time. And I think the other thing that I just want to bring light to, and I guess it's when you said, Chris, you know, when Valentis is in you, when you're in network marketing, but when network marketing is in you, when you really make that transition, right, where you're no longer hiding, you're no longer questioning, you've essentially in your mind right? In your focus, you've burned your bridges. Nobody's going to tell you anything different. When you know, that confidence replaces that fear. And this is a very important point, folks, because, you've heard me talk about people by people, right? Every time you talk to somebody, you're either buying or you're selling, right? And if it isn't truly embedded just deeply seated into you, into your inner being, negative people, distractions, hiccups, hurdles, naysayers, all of that stuff can take you off your game. But when I don't, that lead follower, get out of the way, that when you get that attitude, when you get that, when you said, when it's in you instead of you being in it, that's when you really, you can become unstoppable. And, you may think you're there, but when you're there, you'll really know it. Okay. So anybody else want to comment on our time management here? We got about 5 minutes left and we're going to close out here. Keep this to 30 minutes today.
Hey, John, I'll just throw a couple things in. I think it's like you say, it's such an incredible thing that we have to master. And what happens is people will get, let's say they become big now on social media, and I'm going to use social media to build our business, and they set aside an hour a day to work on social media, and the first half hour is being very, very productive, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's a squirrel and there's a cat dancing and there's this, and pretty soon they spend the last half hour scrolling, and then they beat themselves up the rest of the day because they blew that half hour. So they lose the rest of the day because they made those mistakes. And that's the time management is important, but also if you make a mistake on your time management, don't beat yourself up about it. Say, okay, I got to learn from that. I can't do that anymore. I can't look at the squirrels. I got to focus on that hour activity has got to be done. Like Jim said, that priority has to be done for that day. And I got to make sure it's done. And then I can worry about something else the next day. And I think that's what I find a lot of people do, is they get a little off topic, a little off task, and then they beat themselves up so bad that they can't use their time that they got left in that day, rather than saying, hey, let's reset this, hit the reset button and go again for another half hour and be diligent on that half hour.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Blair. I mean, that's a key point because we all do it, right? And don't throw the whole day away. Don't throw the hour away. Don't throw that last 10 minutes away. Catch yourself and stop it and get productive. But this also, most of the people in our business, right, work at part-time, right? So this is another, and it's kind of along the same example, Blair, of what you just talked about. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 hours a day, into my networking business. And, but if you don't have a plan, right, you're going to go into that first 2 hours, and you're going to go into that 2 hours, and you're going to spend the first hour trying to figure out what to do with the last hour. Right. But if you have that to-do list, if you have that prospect list, if you have that follow-up list, if you have, then you're going to be able to take, and now that 2 hours becomes productive instead of 40 minutes of it or 30 minutes of it. Right. So that's why it's, again, so important to have that list. And so, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and we're going to close out early here unless somebody else wants to jump in. But as we leave here today, I want you to think about that statement that I said at the very beginning with Robert Kiyosaki, right? The difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they spend their time. And really ask yourself how you spend your time. Are you majoring in minor things? Are you wasting time? Are you investing time? Right? I mean, what are you doing with your time? We're coming into a new year. And you can very easily make a mental note, write it down right now, that I am going to focus on productive time. I am going to make a list of things that I can only do, that it takes me to do them. I'm going to make a list of things that are, value, that are high return on my time. I'm going to make a list of all those things that are a waste of my time, to put that onto paper. To really put that and visualize that, when it seems like when you put something to paper, it just sinks in at a deeper level. And even keep it, to really get in that habit of using your time more productively, keep it on your desk, keep it on wherever you do your work, just constantly being reminded, because we know how we can get distracted so easy. We can forget about something so quickly, right? If we don't keep it in front of us until we change that habit, until we start, working differently, thinking differently, spending our time differently, make a list of all those things that you're wasting your time on. And it's just you. It's you and the piece of paper, right? Nobody's judging you. It's only you looking at yourself, right? I want to be more productive in this new year. One of the most important things is, how am I going to spend my time in this new year? How am I going to spend my day? How am I going to spend my week? I mean, who am I going to, and, because people can waste your time, right? Even in our business, you can take and you can want something for someone more than they want it for themselves. And you're dragging them along, and it's taking a ton of your time and energy. Not that you shouldn't tap on them, shouldn't keep in touch with them, but if it's taking too much of your time, it's taking your time away from finding the right person. Think about that, right? If you're wasting your time with the wrong, I think it's one of the biggest mistakes people make in our business. There's a whole list. I talk about that. I should write a book, Biggest Mistakes. But one of the biggest mistakes that we make in this business is we spend our time with the wrong people, right? We're wanting it for them more than they want it for themselves. We're putting in major effort into them, dragging them along because we care about them and we want them to succeed. We know they can, I'm not suggesting at all you forget about anybody, right? You want to but you gotta be smart with your time. To drag them along, to keep them involved and engaged until they're ready to really do it, right? Drip on them, keep them engaged the best you can. Just don't waste your time, because you should be spending that time with the right people, right? Or finding the right people, right? So this can be an incredibly timely and powerful message if we do go through this exercise of writing down, what are those things that only you can do? What are those things that are high return on your time? What are those things that I should pay someone else to be doing? What are those things that are draining my time, right? And even, who are the people that are draining your time? Who are the people that are draining your time? We could probably even come up with more things, and it might be a really good, I might do this actually, come up with a list that could help people guide through this, because it really would be a fantastic exercise. Because again, I'm going to end with this and we'll close out. Robert Kiyosaki, the difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they spend their time. Let's ask ourselves how we're spending our time. So with that, everybody, we're not going to talk until after Christmas on these Zooms. So this is the last one until the 27th. Love y'all, appreciate y'all, and we'll see you guys all back on the 27th. Happy holidays to y'all, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now.
Merry Christmas, John.
Yes.
Thank you.